In the world of 1950s science fiction, few films cast a shadow as large or as terrifying as them. This radioactive masterpiece combined suspense, cutting-edge effects and a dose of Cold War paranoia to create one of the most enduring science fiction films of all time. But why does Them still reign supreme nearly 7 decades later? Well, today we're going to explore the film's brilliance, count down 5 reasons why it is a science fiction masterpiece, and share 10 amazing facts about its making that will blow your mind. So let's celebrate 70 glorious years of this landmark science fiction masterpiece, kick-started the bug-eyed monster trend and cemented its place in science fiction history. So on that note, I'll be right back. Released in 1954, Them begins with a mystery. A traumatized child is found in the New Mexico desert near the remnants of a destroyed trailer. What follows is a chilling discovery. Radiation from atomic testing has mutated ordinary ants into giant human-eating monsters. As the ants spread terror across the southwest and beyond, it's up to a team of scientists, a brave police officer and the US military to stop their march before it's too late. So packed with suspense, action and memorable characters, Them is a perfect mix of creature feature thrills and serious Cold War allegory. So what makes Them such a standout in the rather crowded landscape of 1950s science fiction? Well, let's break it down with 5 reasons why this movie deserves the title of one word: masterpiece. Reason 5, cultural impact. If you are a fan like me of Tarantula or It Came From Outer Space, then you'll feel right at home with the chilling atmosphere of Them. Director Gordon Douglas uses shadowy desert vistas and ominous soundscapes to create an environment dripping with tension. The high-pitched screeches of the ants are iconic and pure nightmare fuel, and the film's slow burn builds to a full-on terror that feels like something straight out of a Jack Arnold playbook. There is something so otherworldly about Sidney Hickok's masterful black and white cinematography, from the eerie sandstorms to the shadowy climax in the Los Angeles sewers. Reason number 4, classic 1950s themes. So, the detonation of the first atomic bomb and the onset of the Cold War unleashed subtle but seismic tremors across 1950s America. So, the euphoria of World War II victory had quickly given way to a gnawing dread, a world on the brink, haunted by the spectre of instant annihilation. So, true to form, horror films were the first to latch onto this collective anxiety, exploring it in ways conventional cinema wouldn't even dare. However, the genre was on life support by the late 1940s. So let's look at the reasons why. So the iconic universal monster cycle, which had dominated since the 1930s, was starting to run out of steam. Once terrifying figures like Dracula and Frankenstein's monster had become punchlines with films like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, reducing them to comedic fodder. Horror desperately needed reinvention. Then came Them in 1954, a movie that crackled with the anxiety of the atomic age. Humanity's scientific breakthroughs had begun to feel like a double-edged sword, equal parts miraculous and menacing. The fear of nuclear radiation and its unpredictable consequences loomed large, and Them harnessed that unease perfectly. Now, this wasn't just a monster movie, it was a gripping warning cloaked in thrilling entertainment. Even today, its themes still feel eerily relevant. But of course, Them wasn't the first giant monster movie. King Kong had roared to life back in 1933, and the beast from 20,000 Fathoms had released its atomic age reptile from the Arctic just a year earlier. But alongside 1954's Godzilla and the creature from the Black Lagoon, Them carved its unforgettable niche. It is not just a science fiction classic, it's a vivid reminder of an era's fears, wrapped in cinematic brilliance. Reason number 3, a milestone in 1950s practical special effects. So forget CGI or actors lumbering around in rubber monster suits, because them brought its terrifying giant ants to life with full-scale animatronic models. These enormous, intricately crafted props give the creatures a tangible weight and an uncanny realism that still impresses today. Sure, by modern standards their slow, deliberate movements might seem a little bit dated, but in 1954 they were revolutionary, and under the right lighting they're still bone-chilling. The giant ants were masterfully constructed by studio technician Dick Smith and operated by a team of skilled technicians using levers and pulleys. Each movement, though mechanical, added to the eerie, otherworldly menace of these monstrous creatures. Originally, Warner Brothers had ambitious plans to shoot them in colour and 3D, putting it on par with many of its contemporaries. However, budget cuts in the final stages of pre-production forced a change, but while it's tempting to imagine how incredible the flamethrower battles and the colossal ants might have looked in 3D, this constraint might have been a blessing in disguise. And the reason I say that is that Warner's early colour process was often garish, whereas the stark black and white cinematography lent them a sobering, almost documentary-like feel that I feel amplified its tension and grounded its terror. Reason number 2, the OG summer blockbuster. So 2 decades before Jaws terrified beachgoers or Jurassic Park brought dinosaurs roaring back to life, there was Them, a film that laid all the groundwork for what we now know as the summer blockbuster. Packed with thrills, a fast-paced narrative, unforgettable set pieces, and a heart-pounding finale, this was the blueprint of your edge-of-the-seat entertainment. Now that climatic showdown in the storm drains of Los Angeles stands out as one of the most iconic moments in cinematic history, more than rivaling the intensity of any of its contemporaries. But Them isn't just a giant bug movie. Beneath its monstrous exterior lies a meticulously crafted story, driven by a smart script and Gordon Douglas's masterful direction. From the very first frame, with a little girl catatonic with fear, wandering alone in the desert, the film hooks you with an air of eerie mystery. The suspense builds methodically, with each discovery peeling back another layer of terror, keeping you on the edge of your seat every step of the way. So what makes Them so remarkable in its ability to balance spectacle with storytelling? The larger-than-life ants are undeniably thrilling, but it's the film's sense of atmosphere and its tight, mystery-driven plot that truly set it apart. The desert setting feels vast and ominous, the tension is electric, and the characters, scientists, soldiers and everyday people, react to the unfolding horror with believable urgency. So far from a mindless creature feature, Them is a masterclass in genre filmmaking. A movie that keeps you guessing, that feels gripping and also wonderfully nostalgic when watched today. So now, before I unveil the number 1 reason, let's take a detour into some incredible behind-the-scenes trivia about Them that will give you an even greater appreciation for the science fiction classic. Did you know that the creepy high-pitched sounds that the ants make were actually the calls of tree frogs, sped up and distorted for an alien effect? Did you know Leonard Nimoy makes a cameo? Well, it's true. Before Star Trek, Leonard Nimoy appeared in a small but memorable role as an Air Force sergeant, delivering a key message about the ant spread.
That ought to fit in with the kind of stuff they're looking for upstairs.
Did you know Fess Parker's role landed him Davy Crockett? Well, Fess Parker's brief appearance as a pilot warning of the ants impressed Walt Disney so much that he cast him as Davy Crockett and launched Parker's career. Did you know the title was kept a secret? Well, during production, the working title was The Ant That Challenged the World, to keep the plot a surprise. Did you know it earned an Oscar nomination? Yes, Them received an Oscar nomination for Best Special Effects, a rare honour for a science fiction film in the 1950s. And now let's return and get on with the show and find out the number one reason why Them is a science fiction masterpiece. Number one, it is the single greatest bug-eyed monster movie ever made. So Them isn't just a movie, it's a cultural landmark, a legacy that resonates far beyond its release. So this 1954 masterpiece just didn't spawn a wave of imitators, it inspired an entire era of science fiction, including everything from atomic age terrors to the claustrophobic horror of aliens. Yet, where so many of its imitators faded into obscurity, Them endures to this day. And what makes Them timeless is the blend of thrills and substance. Beneath the surface level of excitement of giant rampaging ants lies a deeply unsettling commentary on human hubris and the anxieties of a world grappling with the dawn of the atomic age. These themes, how unchecked scientific advancements can spiral out of control, and how humanity must face consequences of its own power, feel as urgent today as they did in 1954 with the rise of AI. So, alongside genre heavyweights like The Creature from the Black Lagoon and Godzilla, which I both adore, Them does stand out as one of the defining films of the mid-20th century science fiction, a cornerstone that shaped what the genre would eventually achieve. So this, again, is not just a giant bug movie, it's a bold, era-defining statement, and a film that uses its outlandish premise to explore profound fears and uncertainties while still delivering an unforgettable spectacle. I feel Them deserves to be celebrated not only as a pioneer, but as a film that continues to entertain and provoke across generations. So next time you're looking for a monster movie with a bit of hard brains and a whole lot of ants, do remember Them. But if you've had fun revisiting this iconic gem, or even maybe you've learned something new, or maybe you want to check it out for the first time, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's a simple click, but it means the world to me and helps ensure that I can keep creating content like this for you. And thanks for watching, and here's to another 70 years of Them. Take care.